How I use truth. Lesson 3. Neither do I condemn thee. Few of us have any idea of the destructive potency of condemnatory words or thoughts, even among truth students who know the power of the spoken word, and because they know it, so much greater is that power, there is a widespread tendency to condemn the churches and all Orthodox Christians, to criticize and speak disparagingly of students of different schools, as though they could only be one school of Christ, and even to discuss among themselves the failings of individuals who in ways different from their own earnestly seek the Christ. Let us stop and see what we are doing. Why should we condemn the churches? Did not Jesus teach in the synagogues? He did not withdraw from the church and speak contemptuously of it. No, he remained in it, trying to show people wherein they were making mistakes, trying to lead them up to a higher view of God as their Father, and to stimulate them to live more truly righteous lives. If Jesus found hypocrisy in the churches, he did not content himself with saying, "I am holier than thou," but remained with them and taught them a more excellent way, that the inside of the platter must be made clean. Is the servant greater than his Lord? Shall not we, whom the Father has called into such marvelous light, rather help those sitting in the darkness, even in the churches, than utter one word of condemnation against them? A loyal son or daughter does not condemn his or her father or mother because in their day and generation, with the limitations of their day, they did not grow to his and her personal standard. We do not condemn the tallow candle of the stagecoach because we have grown into the knowledge of electricity and steam power. We only see that out of the old grew the new, and that the old was necessary to the new. God, in his eternal purpose, is carrying every living soul on toward a higher knowledge of the truth, a more perfect evolvement of himself through the soul. In some are being pushed on into the light of truth and consequent liberty more rapidly than others. Shall they turn and rend those who are walking more slowly, but just as surely, toward the perfect light? No. But let them, praising God for the marvelous revelation of himself within their own souls, lift up rather than condemn any who are struggling towards the light. Let them become workers together with God, doers of the law and not judges. Let no one who has ever been born into a knowledge of God dare to speak or even think despairingly of or to anyone who is seemingly behind him in spiritual growth, lest by so doing he be found working against God, who is infinite wisdom as well as love. Jesus said to the disciples after they had come into the consciousness of the oneness with the Father by receiving the Holy Spirit, "If you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven them. If you retain the sins of any, they are retained." With what mighty meaning these words are fraught in this new light that God has given us. See how our speaking, even our very thinking of the sins or mistakes of others, tends to fasten these mistakes onto them as realities. Strong thoughts of condemnation about anyone by any person will give him the physical sensation of having been hit in the pit of the stomach with a stone. If he does not immediately throw off the feeling, as he can easily do by looking to the Father and saying over and over until it becomes a reality, "God, approve of me," it will destroy his consciousness of perfect life, and he will fall into a belief of weakness and discouragement more quickly than that from any other cause. We read that the eyes of God are too pure to behold iniquity. A pure person sees no licentiousness in another. A pure person sees no falsity in another. Perfect love responds not to envy or fear or jealousy in another. It thinks no evil, Jesus said. The ruler of this world is coming. He has no power over me. So unless there is something within us that responds to sin in others, we shall not see it in them. By your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. The moment we begin to criticize or condemn another, we prove ourselves guilty of the same fault to which we are giving cognizance. All condemnation springs from looking at personality. Personality, from the Latin persona, a mask, is the outward appearance, not the real self. That anyone utters a word of condemnation of another is the surest proof that he is yet living largely in the external of his being. The personality, that he is not yet risen beyond the plane of those to whom the pure Nazarene said, "Let anyone among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone." Just in proportion as we return to God, as we withdraw from the external to the within of ourselves, keeping our thoughts centered on him who is perfect, shall we lose sight of personality, of divisions and differences, and become conscious of our oneness with one another and our oneness with God. We are one always and forever, whether or not we realize it. Knowing this, you will see a new meaning in the words, "Do not judge, so that you may not be judged. For with judgment you make, you will be judged." Indeed, God did not send the Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. Yet when Philip said to Jesus, "Lord, show us the Father, and we will be satisfied," Jesus replied, "Whoever has seen me has seen the Father." Then if God does not condemn, shall we, dare we, even in the smallest things to each other? The Master said, "What is it that to thee? Follow me." Not while we are looking at the imperfect either in ourselves or in our brother, but while we, seeing the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord the Spirit. 2 Corinthians 3:18, end of chapter.